Hello. Now that we know how do we send data to Google Sheets in split cell format, let's look at how do we send the data in tabular format. This will be helpful for sending items for the invoice or for ever growing list of things. So to do that, we are using this insert data tabular. Just to have clarity, whenever we are sending data from Bubble to Google Sheets, it's the same method that we are using, just that the way we format the inputs are different. So here we say search for data, and you have data to sheets, auth and normal. Again, auth and normal is exactly the same, apart from the fact that in authorization method we have to give the bearer and the access token. In normal method we don't have to give that. We would strongly recommend using this only for testing purpose, and use this whenever you want to use it for live data. So this one we have to give bearer with the bearer token. I've already copied the access token. I'll add it here. Spreadsheet ID, which is this one. The tab name, the sheet name that we want to send the data to. Sheet range. In tabular method, or when we want to send the data in tabular format, the sheet range is just the starting cell. So in this case, we want to send it to B18. So we just give B18 and the data. When we want to send the data in tabular form, we have to send it column by column, right? So if this is the data that we want to send from Bubble to Google Sheets, then it should be 1, 2, 3, double colon, item 1, item 2, item 3, double colon, 2, 5, 3, and so on and so forth. I'll show you how that needs to be formatted here. So 1, 2, 3, then double colon, then we have item 1, item 2, item 3, double colon, 5, 2, double colon, then I guess it's a price, so 20, 15, 35, double colon, then we have the total. So three into 20 is 60, 5 into 15 is 75, 2 into 35 is 70, right? So this is the data that we are sending in, and we have already seen what is pattern. That is, if you have a comma in any of the text, then you will have to find and replace it with double at and give a pattern as double at. Even if you give this by default, there is no harm. What is add row? We will come to that. I'll first explain how this will be sent to Google Sheets, and then we'll come to add rows. So I'll go here, I'll refresh this page. So before we test this, let's just clear this data here. I'll go here and click on this button. As you can see, the data is coming column by column. Now let's look at how do we use add rows and where do we use it. So we have a few static data at the top. We have these items over here, and then let's say we want to include some static data at the bottom along with terms and conditions, where we can have one receipt of this invoice, two something else, three something else. Okay, now you don't know how many number of items will you be sending from Bubble to Google Sheets, right? So what we'll have to do there is you just keep one of it, and then you add the number of rows, as many rows as the number of items you are sending minus one, because we have already kept one row which is used as a template. So when we insert the rows here, it will take the format that we already have here. If I insert a row here, then it will not take the format, right? So just to ensure that the format is taken care of, we keep one row as template, and then we insert as many rows, as many items that we want to send minus one. So let me just delete this. So this is where we use add rows. Let's look at how do we use it. Now that we know we are sending 3 rows of data, I'll add 2 over here so that we are adding 2 more rows and then sending the data. We can also send the total value with the split cell method, which we have already mentioned how to do. So let's test this out. So before we can test it, we'll have to clear this. We don't have to manually do it. We already have a method which allows you to clear the cells, recording of which is already released and available in our plugin page. So I'll go here, tabular data. You can see that we have added 2 rows and all the data is coming in here, right? This stays as is below the table. This is how the tabular data is useful, along with adding rows if and only if we have anything below it. Otherwise, we can leave it to 0. Now let's see how do we send dynamic data. So let's go here, and everything else remains the same, just that the data becomes dynamic. And how do we do that? So we can do a search for. You can search for whatever data you want to send. For example, user, you can put whatever filters you want to put, right? And then you can tell format as text, which allows you to get particular details. For example, this user's name, right? Delimiter should be a comma. Now that we have different data sets, let's try to send this tabular data to a different sheet, which is tabular data. So we have name, phone number, and email ID. So let's try to send the same thing, right? So we have this, then we put double colon, and then we again do a search for, or you could just copy this. You'll have to put the same filtering in all the places. So format as text. This time we want to send the phone number. So I'll put phone. And then third column is email ID. So we want to send email ID here. Again, I'll just put this one, format as text. We put it as email, right? So this is how we send dynamic data. You could also use a repeating group from the front end. If you already have a repeating group which has a lot of filters and everything, you could directly use the repeating group. So how that would work is, if I add a repeating group, and if it that is of type users, then we could directly use, instead of search, we could also use repeating group. That is repeating group users, list of users, and then you say format as text and do the same settings that we did previously. For now, I'll use whatever we had set before. And now we just want to change the name of the sheet, because now we are sending it to different sheet. And also, since this is a ever growing list of data, we don't know what is the last row. So here, instead of B18, what we can do is we can give it as A, and no need of mentioning which is the row, right? We're just telling send the data to column A, but auto calculate what is the last row and send this data there. Let's look how does that work. And this one I'll make it as 0, since we do not have any static data below the table. Let's check this out. So I'll just refresh this. Now, since this is an ever growing list, we do not want to clear any data, and we just want to send the data to the last row. Let's see how that works. So as you can see, we have sent some 5 rows of data. Maybe we didn't have the phone number for these 2 rows. Let's look at that. Yep, so we don't have. So this is how you send the data in a tabular form to Google Sheets. We also covered inserting data last row in this use case. I hope this helps. If you have any questions or suggestions, contact us at support@red7.com. Thank you. Have a great day.